What's up? Buster. 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 What? What's going on? Yeah? You say hello to everybody? Buster. Hey. What? What's up? Yeah. Uh-huh. You gonna do the rug bit again? Yeah? You think that's your hook? The rug bit? You doing the rug bit, Buster? Huh? What? What? Where you going? Where you going? You just hit you hit yourself. You hit your face with your own tail? What? What's up? Buster. 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 What's up? Huh? What? Yeah? What's up, pal? What? Just purring today? You got nothing to say? Huh? Oh, wow. Okay. So that's what we're doing now? Now it's a fight? I guess somebody needs to chase a red dot for a while, burn off a little steam. Huh? Oh, jeez. What was that noise? That's the noise that makes me nervous. What is that? Do you need to go to the vet? All right. Definitely hiking today. This was an event. I have to get I have to skim the fat. I made bone broth yesterday. What's going on? Buster. It's not good hiding. I can totally see you. Totally. Actually, this was not really Lynn broth. Lynn broth has no... Lynn broth has no onions or garlic or anything like that because she couldn't eat that stuff. So that is not a Lynn bone broth. That's more traditional. Lynn could not eat onions or so many things, so hers was mostly squash parts and fennel parts and thyme and bay leaves and the sweet potato parts and turkey or chicken. That bone broth that I just made was about like 2 carcasses from roast chickens. I bought about 10 backs and I roasted them up for like a half hour and I threw them in there and I cooked those for like 6 hours, and then I threw an onion, bunch of celery, carrots, parsnips, some garlic, parsley, some salt, and then I cooked them another 10 hours. That shit must have cooked for like 16 or 17 hours. What's up? You were watching my Angry Chef videos from Break Room Live? I'm not that, I'm not that, like those videos, some of those videos, those are recipes I made for the first time. And I don't think it was, people weren't looking to me for real cooking tips or like recipes or anything. It was a bit. I'm an okay cook, but I'm not, I can't riff that well. I wouldn't say I have, I just have practical chops in the kitchen. I can do it. But apparently I can't make a fucking Kentucky butter cake, right? Isn't that what we learned? Maybe baking's not my forte. I've baked. I've done some baking. I've been baked and I've baked some shit. Use whatever options you have at your disposal to maintain your sanity without hurting yourself or others, okay? You fucks. And I say that with affection. You're not all fucks. Some of you are like, hey, fucker. Others of you are like, fuck you, fucker. Too close? Still hoping to make that bucatini. Did I do that on that show? I got fucking obsessed with that La Matriciana sauce. Bucatini, La Matriciana. And you want to know why I made that? You want to know why I figured that out? Because I was dating a woman who loved it. She was a foodie. It was in between Mishna and whatever happened. But I was with her for a while, Stephanie. And she loved it. And I'm like, I'll impress her. Now, traditional bucatini, la matriciana, fucking Jad al-Boomarubi. La matriciana, Boobarubi Chad. Radio Lab Matriciana. Bucatini. Okay, so it's a L apostrophe Matriciana. I don't fucking know. But look, man, all I know is it needed guanciale. And when I was making that shit, it was before the foodie explosion where you could get, there was a separate store that was like just guanciale. That was all you bought there. It was before the sausage stores, the artisanal meat business. So I had to go find fucking guanciale in Queens. It was not as easy as you would think. Got a specific flavor. Al Matriciana. Cat Stevens. Tell the people what guanciale is. Hold on, he's speaking through me. Guanciale is the jowl. It's the jowl of the pig. It's a pig jowl, a cured pig jowl. You can use the other one, pancetta, but it's got a different flavor. Guanciale is very specific. The fat has a different vibe to it, and that's how you'd make the La Matriciana sauce. Yusuf Islam. Why are you Cat Stevens again? Cat Stevens. Will the hate between people go away after the election? No, it won't. I think the center hate might dissipate a little and crawl back into its holes depending on what happens. But if the monster wins, we're fucked. The hate's gonna double twofold. I'm gonna use biblical words. If the monster wins, the hate will double. It will become twofold, and swords will be drawn. Pack up for the camps. Too close? Yeah, so that was the La Matriciana sauce. And bucatini is like spaghetti with a hole in it. I think it's used a lot in real Italian cooking. Yeah, you got to find it though, man. It was harder to find stuff before the hipsters decided to go primitive, and everything was, made with, leather tools and curing sheds. Back before the leather tools and curing sheds wave happened, it wasn't as easy. It's not that cold. It's in the 50s. I had to layer up. Your sister made beef tongue once, and it was surprisingly tender and subtly flavored. Yeah, man. I mean, at the risk of grossing a lot of people out, probably rightfully so, tongue is not bad. I worked in an old-timey Jewish deli where they do the tongue, kind of brine it up, cook it like corned beef. And a lot of people don't know this. How about some deli wisdom? You want some Jew deli wisdom? It's a Buddha face. Buddha face. Jew deli wisdom. There are two parts of the tongue. When you corn a tongue, the base of the tongue is weirdly densely marbled with fat. And once you get to the tongue where there's not the base, the tip, no good. Chewy, not great. So you got to get that wad at the base where they rip it out of the thing, down there. Slice it up real thin. That's the part you want to eat. Tongue tips, not good. Here's some more deli wisdom. Some of you know this because along with the leather tools and curing sheds came the Barbecue Act. I think it was called the Portland Barbecue Act of 2006, where everybody, by law, was forced to grow a beard and have a few ideas about smoking meats. No, they didn't pickle it. It wasn't pickled like that. Oh, no mice in the pickle jar. Oh, that was a pickle tub. Wow. How do you know that story? When did I tell that? How long have you been paying attention to me? Gordon's Deli. Yeah, the mouse in the it wasn't a jar. It was one of those big tubs. That, the kind that you pull. It's, what kind of fucking, a drum. A small drum. Oh, but most of you know there's two parts of the brisket, right, where you make corned beef. And you want the double. You want the double part with the fat in the middle, because the other part, single brisket, dry, chewy. I have big opinions about dry rubs. Do you? I've had this fucking struggling Mark, nervous about this election, have to travel for the first time since March. Will be alone in a hotel room watching results come in, rather be with my family. I'm going to be alone in a hotel room with no TV. I'm not going to fucking drag myself through that shit. More deli wisdom. Gordon's Deli, Pottingham Circle, West Roxbury. Old school, next to the Chinese place. Fat Shelly. Old Man Abe. Old Man Robert. Weird things stand out about that experience. Like one time, I learned what the heel of the bread is. Do you know what the heel of the bread is? Boston was weird. Boston Jews had a different thing than New York Jews in terms of deli. Similar but different. There was like 4 kinds of rye bread. There was a light rye, a dark rye, a pumpernickel rye, and a sisal rye. Like New York, it was just the sisal was the white rye, and then you had dark rye, which was pumpernickel. 4 kinds. And people would order the heel with like chive cheese, cream cheese, lox bread. And the heel is actually the end, about 3 or 4 inches of the end cut off, and then you turn it up on the sliced part, and then you slice it 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 times, and you put that on a plate with the schmear. That was the heel. But one time, some guy ordered a Leo. Now, for for you non-Jews, the Leo is one of the great things to eat. Lox, eggs, and onions. But it has to be done fucking right. If you don't fucking brown those onions, like all the way, do them up, like make them brown as fuck, maybe even burn them a little, the Leo stinks. That's why ordering a Leo at a diner or a deli, you gotta tell them, it's like, I want make sure the onions are fucking brown. Can't have fucking medium cooked onions in a lox, eggs, and onions. So this is a trauma. This is a memory of trauma. So we had this one pan where I cooked all the onions in on the stove to for the eggs and onions, or lox, eggs and onions, salami and eggs, whatever. Jews will eat a lot of shit with eggs. Kipper and eggs, full fish with eggs. A full kipper. Salami and eggs, corned beef and eggs. Corned beef and eggs with mustard. All right. Yeah, I've made it. I made, yeah. Dropping knowledge today is right. So I had the pan that I cooked the onions in, the fucking deeply caramelized brown onions, right? And we've been using them all morning. Some guy orders a Leo, lox, eggs, and onions. So I make that Leo in the onion pan with what's left, with the appropriate amount of onions, but it was just, in that pan. I thought this is going to be fucking amazing, which it was. And the guy sent it back. He said there was too many onions in it. And I was just like, I could not process. We know it's almost time. I couldn't fucking process it. I was like, how the fuck? What, are you kidding me? Like, I almost wanted to say to him, like, are you sure, man? Did you eat this? Did you taste it? Do you want me to make it again? He's like, no, that's okay. I'm like, this is a fucking perfect Leo, man. These onions are perfect. In my head, I said that. And I think I did what every good deli man would do at that point. I took that plate into the back and I fucking ate it. Boston had all these weird baked puddings, not like New York. I'm a New Mexico Jew through Jersey and then into New York. So I understand the traditions a bit, food-wise. But Boston had some fucking Jew food that was spectacular, but I'd never seen it nowhere else. Grape nut pudding, rice pudding, baked as custard. That was the best, man. That shit came out of the oven when it was still hot. Put a little of that in the bowl, the grape nut pudding, which is basically an egg custard with just a layer of grape nuts on top. Put a little milk in the bowl when you eat it. Mmm. But you can't get no good deli food anymore. That whole generation of Jews is dying, and all the traditions are going to die with them because the young Jews don't care. It was a novelty item. It was something you'd go to your grandmother's house and eat her, whatever it was, her dry brisket, her mediocre chopped liver, and think that was the standard, and then drift away from it. So there's not going to be any more delis anymore, because the only way a fucking deli can work is if there's turnover. That was the great thing about New York, is like, you can't have a deli in fucking Phoenix. Get that prepackaged, corned beef, heated up in a steam table, maybe serve 5 sandwiches in a day. If you have to save any of that corned beef till the next day, it's fucking over, man. It ain't gonna happen. So there has to be turnover. What is the big fucking problem with this Stardust movie? People are like, the family didn't want it. I don't know nothing about nothing. They didn't want to license the music. I get it. The guy who made the movie was in love with that story. It's not a biopic. It's not even... It takes place in 3 weeks, the Bowie story that I'm in. The guy I'm playing was supposed to be much younger. So it's more of a meditation, a kind of embellished or fictionalized buddy movie about a young David Bowie who was a bit nebulous trying to figure out who he was. It's a movie about 3 weeks in like 1971 about Bowie going to the United States, and all the Bowie fans are freaking out like we had dug David Bowie up, and we were walking around with his head on a stick. Relax. There are bigger problems. I know it's fun to funnel all of your anger into bullshit, but just, if you don't want to watch the movie, don't fucking watch the movie. It's a little film mostly about a couple of guys, and the backstory of the movie was that Bowie I just play a music executive. But why would I turn down the movie because Bowie's family didn't want to license the songs? Why? I thought it was an interesting story. I wasn't playing Bowie. But the backstory of it is that Bowie's half-brother was in a mental institution, which sort of informed some of the music on Man Who Sold the World. So there's that. Like, I wasn't there for that. I'm just there for when he gets to America. And I play this kind of schlubby, washed up label publicist who still lives with his mother. Based on a real guy, but clearly a lot of license was taken to create this story. And it's really about an artist trying to figure out who he is. So I don't give a fuck. Yeah, it's a true story, but it didn't happen the way it happened in the movie. But like, if they're mad about it, don't go see it. I mean, I don't understand. They're like, no, you didn't honor Bowie. He'll be all right. Bowie's going to be all right. The estate of Bowie's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Exactly. Bowie didn't like Velvet Goldmine either. This is closer to that, only these are the real names. That was about Bowie's relationship with Iggy Pop. This is a much smaller movie. And it's very hard to play mythic people. That's for sure. And I think Johnny did an okay job. He did a good job. There were moments when I was in it and I was like, is that, I could, kind of squint. But it's really about a sort of a little slice of his life. It's not some like arcing biopic. And I think that, to the credit of the, I think biopics they're not mostly fiction, but they're selective events strung together in a way that could not happen in real life, right? But I mean, these guys are complaining that there's no, where's the Bowie music? It's like, well, maybe that's like this guy wanted to make this movie even without the music because it's a story about an artist. And he took this guy, Gabriel Range, who made kind of an amazing movie called Slave, British guy. And the guy who shot it, I think his name was Nick. I should look this shit up. The guy who shot that movie, we shot that movie so fast. My part in it was 2 weeks in Hamilton, which is a whole other thing. But the dude who shot it, the DP, he shot some of the John Lennon stuff for Imagine. Like he was just he's like 80 years old, this DP, running around with these cameras. Fucking the look of it is fucking astounding. And it was because of this dude who was like 80, who had stories about shooting Lennon during the Imagine period. Yeah. So, I understand that there's, a lot of Bowie nerds that are upset over the trailer without knowing anything about the movie. And, stepping in because the family didn't want this. The guy on some level, when somebody's mythic, when somebody's a god, and I got a lot of love for Bowie, people are going to honor him however. But this idea that's like, it's disrespectful, you didn't honor the family. It's like, it's out there, man. The guy was a myth. And people are going to sort of interpret that myth, People are still making Jesus movies. They're not very popular, though. But it's like, it's just an interpretation. It's like, I've talked about Hamilton so much, Father Christmas. It'll be out on the 25th, I think. But yeah, I just like, I get it. You know, people get upset, but like, whatever, man. It'll come and go. No one's going to be the wiser. Some people will enjoy the little movie. Other people will be mad for it. But to run through the streets, you know, with torches, saying like, kill the movie, Bowie didn't want this. It's like, get a fucking hobby. Like, yeah, the Aretha Franklin movie, which they pushed, I don't think it's going to come out till like late next year. That's more of a traditional biopic in the format that that are popular now, whereas it's fully based on the music, but it's a little different in that it's Jennifer Hudson interpreting Aretha music, singing Aretha songs and playing Aretha Franklin. So she's singing those songs. So that's more of it. A lot of it's about the music and about the uplift of the music and about a very specific story leading to her concert at the church. And again, you know, it's based on a couple different sources. But I talked to the dude who wrote the book on Aretha, about Aretha, and there are certain things in the Aretha story that the estate is not comfortable with, that they kind of had to work around, from what I understand. So the Bowie estate drew a line and said that I think the only thing they could do was say, like, you're not getting any music. No music for you. So we will starve your project of music. We're going to starve your little movie of hits. So fuck off. Try to make your little Bowie movie now, you disrespectful fuckers. And this guy, Gabriel, was so passionate about the story that he was like, we can work around this. And I don't think that the guy who made Stardust has any disrespect for Bowie. I think he loves Bowie. And I think he liked the idea of this story in his mind. And I think given the budget and given the shooting schedule, it came out pretty good. It's a good little movie. It'll be out there. And then, it'll recede. And those Bowie fans on Twitter who are making a stand, everyone's protecting the brand. Of course, but this is not going to, and I get it. That was the greatest moment in the Patti Smith conversation. I don't know Duncan. I've talked to him twice. In the second time, he didn't seem to like me, and, whatever. It can't be easy, being the son of David Bowie. He said something interesting when I talked to him, Duncan Jones, about the children of those guys. It's like, it's a real small club. You got Beatles kids, you got Stones kids, and you got Bowie kids. The big ones. It's a very small club. Like, no one's really sort of like, man, what's it like to be Jethro Tull's son? Like, wonder what Bob Seger's daughter's like. When your parent is a Beatle or Bowie or Jagger or Richards, like, there's this sort of, I don't know what it is. This is just a handful of dudes, of that school, guys that are almost my age. Yeah, Zeppelin's kids. We're Zeppelin's kids. But that was one of the best moments on the podcast when fucking Paul McCartney's kid called Sean Lennon in the studio. That was the best. But anyways, I understand. It's like what I was saying, like what Burroughs said to, what about Zappa? I know those kids a little bit. That's a whole other world. But they're very public. The Zappa kids were out in front of the camera, really. And yeah, it's not easy being them. But they're all very creative. I think 3 of them anyways. The thing that Burroughs said to Patti Smith um, which is keep your name clean. Oh, COVID. Chet Hanks was in my show. Chet Hanks is a good kid. He was in the last season of Maron. The Zappa world is a very specific world. So I understand the insult on the brand to those protecting the brand, but I think on some level there has to be a little flexibility in that. This person did not set out to damage anybody. I think that people who protect their brand don't want. You're not going to hurt the Bowie brand really with a small movie about the kind of like a meditation on the evolution of the artist. It's somebody trying to interpret something and tell a story. Yeah, I dated Moon for a little while. Denzel Washington kids. One of his kids is a great actor. Yeah, so I understand the protecting the name thing, but it's an okay little movie, and it was ambitious given the budget. I think I did a pretty good job in it, and we'll see. Cat Stevens, will there ever come a time where people will get angry about the right things as opposed to mundane bullshit that they feel like they have control over? Cat Stevens, was that too difficult a question, Cat Stevens? Cat Stevens, will there come a time where people can focus their anger to bring people together and enlighten people? Cat Stevens. Cat Stevens, do you think that you didn't keep your name clean when you became Yusuf whatever, Islam? So now I see, like a Cat Stevens biopic. No one would care, but that would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? I think Salman Rushdie's still mad at Cat Stevens. Ooh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. Beady, 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 boom. And Salman Rushdie is gonna die, girl. Bum booty, bum booty. Kim and Kanye's kids. You know what's weird about me, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm out of the loop. I don't give a fuck about any of them. I don't know anything about the Kardashians really. I have a few Kanye records that I enjoy. I see him as a very wealthy fellow that has very severe mental issues that people find entertaining because in his mania he's confident. So they detach any sort of personal responsibility to enjoying it because of his stature, but I don't know anything about them. There's a lot of things. I'm surprisingly out of the loop, and I always sort of know that. People of our age don't know or care about him. I don't know. A lot of people I think it's a matter of what you put in your head, right? It's like, what do you find entertaining? I have a difficult time with kind of mindless entertainment. Like, my mother could read 400-page books that were garbage, and I'd be like, what are you doing? I would rather sit and think in circles than spend 18 to 20 hours reading garbage. I would rather just do my circuitous, thoughts that I think are important or intellectual or philosophical for days than read garbage. I did. I yesterday. I listened to records like a lot. I interviewed. I have exciting days. I interviewed. Am I friends with Dennis Miller? No, he never liked me. I never really liked him. I know his brother though. I love his brother. I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy Miller. I've had some great moments with Jimmy Miller. Dennis, I don't never. I was always skeptical. I'm like, this guy ain't who he is. I don't know. There's not much in there. There's just a little. There's just a kind of like cowering cunt in there with a shield of words. I interviewed Frank Langella yesterday, which was really great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to Frank Langella. It was nice. And I listened to, no, not Jimmy Miller from the Stones. Jimmy Miller, Dennis's brother, who's an entertainment manager. But Frank was great, focused, intense. I liked him. Some very. There's no shots fired here, dude. We don't play that shit here. No one cares about this. This is just between me and the people that hang out. And I don't think I'm saying anything that surprising. But I guess I could get in trouble. What's going to happen? Is Dennis Miller going to come back at me and say, I'm definitely brave, and I know, and I've shifted from stand-up comedy to punditry because I got so frightened after 9/11 that I changed my entire perspective to disregard and diminish the other. So, and I'm proud of that. Is that what's going to happen? Is that the return shots? Or is it going to be like Marc Maron, who? That guy tried to do something, it never worked out for him, and so what, he's in his garage now? Is that going to be the line? Is that what's going to come back at me? Is he going to write about, who's this Maron guy working out of his garage with microphones from 1907? Are those microphones run on gasoline? Look at the size of them. I'll tell you a great story. You want to hear a great story? You want to hear Jimmy Miller's story? I will. I'll tell you Jimmy Miller's story. I've told this before. Come on, you guys know this. Beep boop bam 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 bam. That Maron guy. Who cares about him? He's in his garage wearing a beanie talking about Led Zeppelin. So, he's about as relevant as Senka. Anyways, are you any good at hugging? I'm not great at hugging. I have a hard time with people touching me. It's taken years and many women to sort of, break through my comfort zone in terms of like, oof, don't touch my stomach. Don't touch my stomach. You gotta love this cat with his beanie on his porch. That's relevant. So I'm getting better at it. My brother was a big hugger. No, I'll do it, but I don't know if I surrender to the hug, because I'm afraid if I surrender to a hug, I will have to live with that person for maybe years before I can extricate myself. My boundaries are not good, so I have to have vigilance around the people I let in. And if people are manipulative enough in an hour of trauma bonding and sexualizing, I could be stuck in a relationship for a decade, right? These are bits of wisdom. Like, you get old enough and you've been through enough shit and you've gotten broken hearts enough and people have come and gone, you've been hurt and you've hurt other people. At some point, you should start to identify a fucking pattern. But if you're not that person and you just lock down with one person out of fear and you're willing to be sort of, negotiate and make compromises and surrender some of your desire or needs in the name of security, then God bless. But if you're out there, fucking trying to connect, doing the sex thing, acting out, loving people, not loving people, drama, no drama, after a certain amount of time, after a certain number of people, you kind of know where it's going to go pretty quickly, right? So for that reason, I have to be careful of hugging. Because a hug can lead to a decade, and, I don't got that kind of time anymore. For any podcast guest questions, go to WTFpod.com/episodes. I've watched Jesus and Miro for a minute. Oh, the Jimmy Miller story? Okay. But see, the thing is, the real fortitude, the real fucking energy, the power, too close. Here's the fucking thing about patterns, is that you're honoring something, you're emotionally comfortable somehow, and a lot of times it's not good. It's not, your sense of home in your heart can sometimes be fucking chaos, abuse, garbage, destruction, detachment, whatever. Whatever fucking parent you had to internalize in place of your own parents who were damaging you, but you couldn't look at that way because they're your parents, so you inserted something. That thing inside of you is going to seek people to honor the fucking parents that fucked you up. It's all right. It's just the way life is. But those are the patterns. No great mystery to it. It just depends on how you want to frame it for yourself and when you want to wake up to it. And if it's that damaging, or you hurt yourself or others over and over again, at some point, the real fortitude comes in identifying it and then saying, like, you know what? I'm not going to do that this time because I can't. Decide against your instincts because they stink. Anyway, so Jimmy Miller... You don't know the Jimmy Miller story? Can you repeat this again? I'll post it. I think these Arabic trolls have something to do with making accounts in my name. This is the only account that's me. Love risk, I think, is worth it. Heart open, important. Sure, but not stupidly. If you walk around with your heart open, people are going to throw garbage in it because they can smell it. Look, if you live in a safe world and all the people that you interact with are safe people and you trust them and you have that good of a boundary around your open heart that the people you engage with are, people that you might want to nourish some sort of emotional connection with, God bless, congratulations. But generally speaking, if you don't have control on some level or your open heart is not grounded, people will see it as a garbage bin and they'll throw stuff in there, they'll come in there, they'll fucking, dump their childhoods in there, and then your heart just becomes this fucking weird inflated bag of other people's garbage, and then you get into a car accident. Anyway, and you're like, why did I get into a car accident? Because I hit some sort of codependent bottom. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I was filled with other people's garbage, and I lost sense of myself, and I couldn't pay attention to things anymore because I was so detached and distracted. Yeah, definitely vampires. I did a bit about vampires on those people Emotional vampires. The bit I used to do about it was not really a bit. It was just this idea. It's like, I'd say, like, there are emotional vampires out there. And people be like, what? And I'm like, there are, man. And you know how you're talking to an emotional vampire? You're ever in a conversation with somebody maybe you know or you don't know, even it could be a family member, and they're just talking, and all of a sudden you do that weird yawn that's not really a yawn because you're not really tired or anything, but you're just like, ugh. You don't know what that is. That's them draining you of your chi, and you got to step away. You got to say, look, I got to go. You're taking my chi, you're taking my life force, and they're going to be like, what are you talking about? It's like, I can't. And just walk away. Walk away. Cat Stevens, should I tell the Jimmy Miller story? You're so drained? Welcome to a relationship with me. Then why don't you get off? You're so drained, go away. Then my work is done. I've relaxed you by draining you. Damn it, now you're yawning. Yeah, man. I'm sucking you guys dry right through my phone. That's the power of it. This is the cult of me. Are you leading people? No, I'm just exhausting them. And then I just have a day. I make people exhausted and concerned emotionally, and then I eat breakfast. Too close? Okay, so would somebody please give me an answer? Can I get a book with an answer? I need the answer. Could somebody please get me? Is there a fella that can answer the big question? Because I'm tired and I don't understand why life. Okay, so here's the Jimmy Miller story. Wow. I got nowhere to take you guys. I can barely fucking manage a day. The Marc Maron cult. This morning, the leader seemed upset about something that he didn't really want to share. And he said he didn't really have time for us today and that he was just going to listen to some records and maybe nap. So I guess free morning. PM Melody, yeah, I read those books. Those books are very helpful. The PM Melody Love Addiction book and the PM Melody Codependency book are good. Look, man, all this stuff, like, this is the thing about therapy and about these books, right? These aren't really self-help books. It's really, they're not, pie in the sky, sort of like, visualization shit, affirmation garbage, manifest what you want. The truth of the matter is, if you have emotional problems in your mind and in your heart that you're trying to get to the bottom of, you just have to find a template that enables you to understand them, to protect yourself in the future and process. And that template is different for everybody. You can read a few books. I guess they're self-help books, or you can just suck it up. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, shove that fucking sadness down and that anger down, and then, dump it on foreigners. It's a matter of doing the work or just accepting a legacy of abuse and emotional detachment to sort of inform your shallow anger towards things outside of you, right? So it behooves you to find some template that will enable you to process your own shit so you can have some quality of life. There is no perfection. We are all flawed. We are all sinners, right? It's all the same. Christian, Muslim, Jew, big book, but so there's no perfection, but you can make different decisions to live a comfortable life. You can't kill your demons. There's no killing them. You have to negotiate with them, and eventually they get tired and they go to sleep. If you negotiate with demons, or you stop feeding them, for a while they'd be like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we going out or what? What's happening? We're fucking hungry, dude. Let's go, man. It's trouble time. And then if you were able to fucking just stifle that shit, eventually they'll be like, oh my God, we're starving. This guy's not going to feed us. And then maybe from food deprivation, the demons become a little more pleasant, and sometimes you can talk to them a little easier. And they don't drive you. They're just kind of there, going like, "Hey man, so no?" And you're like, "No." I'm like, all right. I just thought I'd try. I think I'm going to try every few months. Anyway, bore your demons is right. Then they'll take anything. Could we just have some ice cream? I used to do a whole bit about that, didn't I? Remember the bit, like, Ben and Jerry's? What the fuck? What was that bit, Ophelia? The ice cream demon bit? What was that on? Anyway, Jimmy Miller. Cat Stevens. Was that demon analogy good? All the liabilities I have, whether neediness, boundarylessness, emotional vampirism, rage, all that stuff, I'm highly aware, and I make different choices as much as I can. Okay, Jimmy Miller story. So, Thinky Pain had the ice cream demon. Thank you. So go source that. A lot of this stuff is the raw material of bits I have done in the past. The Jimmy Miller story. Am I talking out of school? Maybe that's what this should be called. Talking out of school. Back in the day, I was in a car. I was in Boston. I was still living in Boston. It was probably the late 80s. And I'm fucking angry. And I'm doing comedy. I think I was still working at a coffee shop in Harvard Square, doing, mics at, did I just call them mics? We never called them that. Like, doing showcase shows, a Catch a Rising Star, and just out of my mind. And Jimmy Miller, Dennis's brother, both his brothers are in the business. He's got a brother that books comedy, and Jimmy manages. And I think Rich Miller also manages people, but also books comedy. So they're all in it somehow, but Dennis is the star, but Jimmy's the real fucking winner. He started a big management agency. He's like Judd Apatow's manager and Jim Carrey's manager. I mean, he's big and a solid dude. But he was, like, back in the day, Jimmy was a booker as well. He was in the booking racket, management racket. And when they opened a club in Albuquerque, he was going to help book out of L.A. And he came out and saw local talent that night. And that was like 1988, maybe. No, wrong. 86-ish. Early on, I think I was home from. It might have been 87. Doesn't matter. But he saw me, so he kind of knew me from way back when I was, in Albuquerque. Anyway, cut 2 years later. Years later, I'm working in Boston. And it's me, like, for some reason, it was me and Garofalo in the car with Jimmy. Jimmy was doing something in Boston. And Janine knew him because she ended up being managed by Messina Baker Miller. That was his first company early on. Doesn't matter. She might have been being managed by him then. I don't know really. But we're in a car and we're going to go out somewhere. And I'm fucking driving through the streets of Boston. Jimmy's in back. Garofalo's in front. And I'm going off. I'm like, dude, this comedy thing, man. It's just like, I'm just trying to find my voice. I'm just trying to find my fucking voice. I mean, that's the whole thing, right, Jimmy? He's like, yeah. I'm like, your brother, man. Your brother, he found his voice. How long did that take? How did he find his voice? How did Dennis Miller find his voice? And Jimmy says, he's doing Belzer. He's doing Belzer. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, babe. Yeah, babe. Babe. Yeah, babe. Babe. That is the bells. Hey, babe. He's doing Belzer. That was a long time ago. And clearly he's evolved. And the thing about that is, about those kind of things, it's like, I don't know any comics that don't do someone a bit for a while. It's like how you get your legs. It's not stealing. You sort of glom, you kind of glom a frequency. And it almost happens subconsciously. And most of the dudes move through it. Like all the dudes that I knew, I mean, like during, like early on, like in New York, like there was a period where it's like there was like 20 Attels around, and then throughout the country there was 20 to 100 Hedbergs. There was like, that there were people that had a groove, not unlike music, that enabled people to sort of like subconsciously, they kind of glommed a bit of the groove and were able to move a little closer to themselves in a way. But Bill Hicks and Attell. Yeah, but people doing Hicks. Like I used to do pretty angry, dark comedy, but I didn't really know Hicks' shit when I was younger. I did know Kennison, but like I still, like I know when I have, like, sometimes I'll be doing bits and like someone will drop into me for like a second or two and I'll be like, wow, that was just a Gaffigan moment. And I'm always excited when it's nice guys that drop in to me to help me sort of phrase something. But Attell had one of the most contagious drive shafts of all comics. What? Hey, ba 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 bee ba 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 ba. Like it's like, oh, what? Hey. C B B B B B B B B ba ba ba. So there was a lot of them around. Yeah, I imagine rappers do it too. I didn't notice the Seinfelds, and like, that's tedious. There's one guy now that literally does Seinfeld. And not many people did Hicks because even Hicks couldn't make that successful. So, you might be able to find a voice in it, but you're not going to make a living with it. Is it bad I don't find Attell funny? Attell is one of the greatest joke writers that ever lived, if not the best. Attell is deeply funny, but it is of a specific ilk. It's not sort of personal revelation. He's a fucking compulsive jokesmith. He writes jokes in his sleep. It was just always interesting when we were kids, to watch Attell take a great joke and over the course of a week rewrite it into nothing. And then find something new. He was great. Okay. I should go soon. Yeah, it's a rhythm. Ba 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 ba. Yeah, sure, I knew Mitch. Yes, Melinda Hill is on the podcast today, and I've known her a long time, and it was great to talk to her. We got a lot in there. Attell is sharp as a tack. I love Attell. I should text him. Because of the nature of my comedy, it tells one of these guys, like, he would call sometimes, like, he just gets this weird call in the middle of the night. He'd be like, hey, it's Dave. Are you doing a bit about jerking off in the Bible? I'm like, what? No. He's like, all right. Do you do a bit about, this is weird. I don't know that Mitch was doing right. I don't think that's true. I think that's a misunderstanding. I think that the rhythm of Mitch was not Stephen Wright. It had more of a groove to it. I mean, I think the way he thought was like Stephen Wright, but the way he delivered was not. What was that? Oh, the thing Attell said to me. I've told this story too. What's a good tea? I like Assam tea. I like a good Irish breakfast tea. I haven't talked to Janine in a while. Yeah, I like Wanda Sykes. Yeah, I think Mitch was doing Mitch. Attell is a comics comic. So I do own a Gibson 335. Richard Lewis is my spiritual uncle. So I remember I just gotten my dad had given me a car that I drove across country to his old Honda. And I remember pulling up in front of the Stand Up New York in this fucking old Honda that my dad had given me. And Attell was out there smoking a cigarette. He's like, "Where'd you get the car?" I said, "It's my dad's old car. There's only like 200,000 miles on it." He went, "Wow, that's a lot of running away." I didn't quite do the voice right. That's a lot of running away. I don't prefer a 335 over a Les Paul. I've sort of taken with the Deluxe. How's Bobby Lee doing? I don't know. I should text him. I like some of Burr's comedy, yeah. Is Dave Attell always on like that? He kinda is. Okay, I'm gonna go. I think I'm going up the hill. I gotta check the air quality. I interviewed Nick Cave. WTFpod.com/episodes. Bobby Collins. Hello, I'm Bobby Collins. There's Dave Cross it was so funny one time. Dave Cross had this recording of Bobby, because we were all hanging around at Catch Rising Star in Boston, and Bobby was headlining. I think Dave Cross had a middle for him or something, but Bobby came up with something, and he didn't want to forget it, so he used Dave Cross's tape recorder. He says, "I need to remember something." It's like, "This is Bobby Collins on Dave's recorder. The idea I had," and we had this tape forever. "Bobby Collins, I do boats, mostly boats now." I think we're all good. Cat Stevens, this is Bobby Collins. Am I ever going to be able to work on a boat again, Cat Stevens? Bobby Collins wants to know if the cruises are going to start up again so I can work on a boat. Pete Corielli reminds you of Bobby? Really? I don't really see it. Okay. Use whatever options you have at your disposal to maintain your sanity without hurting yourself or others. Buddha face.